Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 3 stories for you from the ProRevenge subreddit. Before we start, make sure to check out my 3D printing website, dangly3d.com, where you can get your own 3D printed Carmen Chameleon channel mascot. And yes, it comes complete with cookies. Again, that's dangly3d.com. Alright, on to the stories, let's jump right in. This story comes to us from My Name is Amos. Baby sister takes revenge on an ex-fiancé. After reading a story about petty revenge, I was reminded of this story. It's a long one about my sister Taylor, and how we all found out that she plays a long game, and frankly, can be downright evil. Some details and factoids have been changed in order to protect the privacy of the innocent, the guilty, and the family. When Taylor, the youngest of 6 siblings, was in her second work semester engineering co-op program, her ex-fiancé, I'll call him Derek, convinced her to move in with him instead of living with the family. They ended up renting a room in the Dean Mansion in our small town. The Dean Mansion, locally referred to as The Mansion, is an 8-room building that used to belong to a very rich family. But after it was sold, it was turned into a boarding house. Taylor and Derek rented one of the largest of 8 bedrooms with an ensuite. All other rooms, such as the kitchen and living room, were community spaces. The way the mansion worked is that there was typically only one person who held the lease, and he or she would sublet all the other rooms. As one lessor moved out, they would transfer the lease to whoever wanted the responsibility. Derek jumped at the chance, hiked up the rent by $25, and pocketed it. $25 was a lot back then. When the old leasee moved out, he took a lot of the furnishings with him. So when Taylor moved in, our grandparents happily provided bed, couch, chairs, kitchen tables, pots, pans, etc. My grandparents had a lot of stuff that they kept in what my grams called the furniture storage facility, a building that used to be part of a family-run business. Sorry, long backstory, but it's relevant. At Taylor's last job, she was sent to the warehouse to get some supplies. Think machine parts, safety equipment, etc. When she lifted a box down and tilted it towards her, she said dozens of mice spilled out, like a waterfall of tiny bodies. They scurried over her face, through her hair, and all down her body. She developed a fear of mice. One Friday, she got home from work and Derek was already at a party at his friend's house. He left a note telling her to come over. He had a surprise for her. Long story short, when she arrived, a wrapped box sat on the table, which the now drunk guys gave her. She was a bit taken aback, but excitedly opened it. It contained several mice, some deceased. She freaked out and threw the box away and began to cry. The guy whose apartment they were in got angry because now he had a bunch of mice in his place. Derek laughed, taunting her, telling her that she should see her face and quit being such a big baby. It was just a joke. Taylor stormed out of the place and went back to the mansion, then called the troops, her 5 brothers. Between the siblings and friends, they had 4 trucks, and everything that was Taylor's was loaded in less than an hour. She dumped all of Derek's items into a big pile in the middle of their room and left her engagement ring on the top. Afterward, she ghosted Derek. Derek stalked her for a couple of weeks until Taylor complained to her oldest brother Bob. Now, everyone in town knew that Bob might be 6'4" and 225 pounds of muscle, but wouldn't hurt a fly. What no one knew, not even Bob, was that nobody hassled his baby sister. He had a talk with Derek, and Derek never showed his face to Taylor again, especially while he could barely see out of his blackened eyes. You would think that was where it ended. Given that for her profession, Taylor would always be around worksites and warehouses, and in constant fear of mice, Taylor had been forced to go to therapy to desensitize herself. The therapy worked well. Flash forward 32 years, and the entire clan is home for a memorial service that we've been putting off for both our parents. I now own the furniture storage facility and transformed it into my office, storage, and workshop for my small construction company. My daughter is the office manager and a softie. Taylor and her family had been in town for a week when one day, my daughter handed her an Amazon box. Then, Taylor corralled me into being her getaway driver. She brought the box and delivered it to Derek's car, which was parked in the local pub's parking lot. It was unlocked, so consequently, I wasn't needed to use my tools. Then we waited. When Derek came out of the pub and jumped into his car, he found the box and happily opened it. A lot of screaming ensued, and when he opened the door, several small bodies spilled out and scurried away. He leapt out, swiping at his clothes and yelling. My baby sister leaned against my truck watching it all with a grin and said, "Quit being such a big baby, Derek, it's just a joke." Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Randomizer69. It says, "I, male, hate rodents and sympathize with Taylor. Although I hate them so much, I could never have gotten revenge that way. Kudos though." OP responded to this one and said, "It wasn't an easy process for her. She went 5 years trying every other therapy, but in the end, only the desensitization method worked. Now she's fearless and gives 0 Fs about anything. The perfect matriarch replacement for our mother." Wait a minute, 32 years just to respond with a box of mice as well? That's all you could come up with that far down the road? And also, why are we still holding a grudge 32 years later? How many things have happened in your life between now and then that made you want to do this? This is absolutely crazy. This story comes to us from A Quiet Borderline. Operation Let It Go. My dad just shared a story about my late Uncle Dale, his lifelong friend and fellow engineer. So, in his memory and in spirit of the upcoming holidays, I present for you the tale of nepotism, engineering students, and Idina Menzel. Uncle Dale was a senior engineer at a small firm in the Midwestern USA and engineering instructor at the local community college. He was also unofficially in charge of the office parties. To help offset the cost, he had a small tin box on a table outside of his office with a slot in it so anyone could donate money to the party fund. Everyone knew about it and were happy to donate. A month or so before the company's big Christmas party, Uncle Dale decided to check the box. Lo and behold, it was empty. Uncle Dale knew something was wrong because he had seen several colleagues putting money in the box. This could only mean one thing: someone was stealing from the party fund. At this moment, Brad, the owner's nephew and a fellow engineer, came around the corner, and something about the way Brad was looking at him made Uncle Dale suspicious. Brad didn't have a good reputation around the office, to say the least. He had a reputation of being pushy, obnoxious, rude, and just plain entitled. Unfortunately, he was not only the owner's beloved nephew, but knew how to skirt the rules so he wouldn't get fired. Uncle Dale decided to set a trap to catch the thief. Using his engineering skills, he set up a hidden rig using a hidden doorbell camera right by the box. He then had a colleague loudly brag about how he contributed $100 to the party fund. Then he waited. He got a notification that the camera was recording and watched Brad open the empty box, scowl in disgust, and throw the box against the wall. Now, you'd think this would end with Uncle Dale presenting the video evidence to his boss to get Brad fired. But oh no. As I mentioned in a previous post, if there's one thing engineers love, it's solving problems. And if it's engineering students, they'll make it an experience to remember. Uncle Dale then went to his engineering students. He offered them extra credit to come up with a rigged box that would make noise when opened. The more obnoxious the sound, the higher the bonus. 1 week later, they delivered their project and demonstrated how it worked. Pleased with the results, Uncle Dale awarded them the extra credit as promised. The next day, he set up the rigged box and proclaimed, "Well, isn't this nice? Someone donated $50 to the party fund." Then he went to his office and waited. The engineering students had rigged the box with one of those inserts from cards that play music when you open them. By popular vote, they had picked Let It Go from the Disney movie Frozen, right around the time the song was beginning to become unpopular. They also managed to ensure that once opened, the box couldn't close unless you pressed a hidden side button releasing the hinge, so the song would continue to play. For extra funsies, they made sure to angle the insert for maximum volume and secured it down with industrial strength glue. Sure enough, everyone in the office heard Idina Menzel belting the hated song and Brad's frustrated grunts while trying to close the box. One of those attracted by the sound was Brad's uncle. Finally, Brad chucked the box at the wall, managing to put a good-sized dent in it. The uncle then summoned Brad to his office. 15 minutes later, Brad left with a cardboard box and cleared out his desk, along with a note in his file, "Do not rehire, do not recommend." So his engineering career was over. That Christmas, Uncle Dale had a little video prepared to show at the party. The doorbell camera had caught Brad's attempt to steal from the box, all to the tune of Let It Go. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Horsey Juice. That's nasty. It says, "I have a 3-year-old. I listen to a lot of kids' music, especially Frozen. If Let It Go is the most obnoxious sound or piece that you could come up with, you're not even trying." I say that as someone who's heard that song, does the math, at least 1,000 times. Heck, it's not even the most obnoxious song from Frozen. Love is an Open Door, anybody? I've got 3 young ladies in this house that absolutely love the Frozen movies, and Let It Go definitely is not the most annoying song that they sing all the time. I can think of a few others, like Baby Shark, or from the Cars movie, Life is a Highway. You can only hear those ones so many times. Although I do like to annoy my own friends with Baby Shark, so I think I should probably just stop talking now. This story comes to us from Lego Morph Lover. Got $40,000 for accidentally confiding a secret to a gossiping coworker. I worked at a chain salon in the US for minimum wage plus tips. We got paid on a sliding scale. The more you added services, the more your hourly pay. Then, for back to school, we started offering $10 haircuts. It's dumb to offer a big discount on back to school because that's when everyone needs a haircut, but whatever. Except to advertise this sale, we had to stand on a rickety step stool and hang a 10-foot long, 3-foot wide banner off of the roof of our store. The step stool alone made it a dangerous task, but on top of it, the sidewalk was uneven. Our manager insisted we do twice a day, open and close, in case someone steals the banner. Because certainly, someone would want to steal a banner with our logo that says $10 haircuts. It was annoying, but I was looking forward to my next paycheck. I had a high service dollar per hour, which should have meant a bigger hourly pay and paycheck. Except it didn't. That $7 per haircut discount, it was coming out of our final service dollar calculations, and we ended up making significantly less than usual. I'd worked there for years, and this was the smallest back-to-school paycheck I'd ever seen. I went in the next day and was pissed. That morning, a coworker who was a total brown nose and gossiper and I were outside setting up the banner. It was my turn to stand on the rickety step stool, and I said I was glad this would be the last time I ever do this. I was fully prepared to make a joke about how I was going to fall and crack my head open when the petty revenge idea came into my mind, and I swiftly executed it. When she asked why, I told her not to tell anyone, but I'd accepted a job at another salon with a set schedule, higher commission, and $5 more an hour. I said I'd planned on putting in my 2 weeks, but they needed me to start sooner, so I was going to work the weekend and not come back. This would leave us understaffed for the back-to-school rush. After reiterating she could not tell anyone, especially not our boss, she agreed. I left early that day, and on my next shift, my boss pulled me into her office. She said she'd heard a rumor that I was leaving to work at a different salon. I told her I had a much better offer elsewhere, but if she could match that, I would love to stay. She had to put a call into our district leader about the raise, but said I could work with a set schedule starting the following week. I was working until 9 p.m. some days and at 9 a.m. the next. The unpredictable schedule made finding childcare a pain in the butt. I was consistently ranked number 2 in sales for our store and the district, so the district leader approved the raise and I stayed there another 5 years, which means I got an additional $39,000 in pay for accidentally telling the salon gossip my secret. I also got 20% commission on $500 to $1,000 a week in product sales. The ProRevenge. I also started printing out my service sales slip from the day before at the beginning of every shift, so that when payroll readjusted the paychecks to include coupons, I could pull up my record and dispute it. According to payroll, there was nothing they could do about it. I stayed another 5 years, raising the issue sporadically until they brought back the $10 haircut sale and I quit. A few months after I left, I was made aware that a different employee in another state filed a class action lawsuit, and I got a letter asking if I wanted to be part of it. I accepted, and the lawyer loved receiving 5 years worth of documentation, emails from corporate and payroll, etc. They had to go back through all of my paychecks and compensate me for the difference. This included adding the free haircuts reward program and discounted haircuts as their whole amount, increasing the service dollar. 19 cents an hour here and 30 cents an hour there added up. And despite the fact that the settlement was split with a lot of people, I got $10,000 from that, in addition to my adjusted pay, which was around half the settlement amount. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Innerlight. It says, "Effing wage theft should be punished with prison time." OP responded and said, "Absolutely. They've since been close to bankruptcy multiple times and are franchising out their salons as quickly as possible." Another commenter called PN Gwyn says, "Document, document, document. Being right is nice, but having proof is far better." OP responded and said, "Great quote." Almost feel like a broken record here because I've said this all the time on this channel. Document everything, because you never know when you're going to need that documentation to help you out of a situation. Or in a case like OP had here, you might need to provide that documentation to a lawyer, which will end up in you getting a ton of money. So document everything, no matter how small it is, because you can use it in the future.